Hi, welcome back. This is the third in the series. So what I've done in the meantime is I've just put these holes in. That's pretty simple. I rolled this back to, I think it was this feature here. Right, and those are triangles. So if I just go to the top view, you can see what I've done. So it's a triangle. I've balanced it against the line, or I've mirrored it against the line, given it some dimensions, a height. So it's not as high as it is wide. That's just the proportions I want. And then I extruded that and then put in some fillets and then put in a fillet at the end. And then I cut out the base. So the base is just a sketch which is on the front plane, and I've just cut that out. So I think I've shown you how to do that, so I'm not going to show you again. And then I've colored this in the meantime just so that it's easier to see. So you can see you've got some compound curves here. So we've got curves going in two directions with fillets and a shell. And now we're going to do some really fun stuff. At least I think it's fun. And we're going to put some ribs in here. What happens if we put ribs in on a surface which is not flat? Okay, so there are two ways of going around about this. The first one has to do with just if you want a flat rib. So I'm going to need a surface which is 1 millimeter beneath that point there. So just going to click on my top plane, because I know that's where everything is based off of, and then hold the shift button down, the control button, and then just measure between those 2 points. So that's 13 millimeters. That means I want another plane which is at least 14 millimeters. So let's go back to the top plane and hold the control button down, drag this out, type in, make it 14.5 just to be safe. Okay, so you can see that that plane now interferes with this surface by 1.5 millimeters. And then I can use that plane to put a sketch on. So let's put a sketch on there, and just turn that upside down. Right, and here I need a line. Okay, and then I just want to get this to be symmetrical around that line, and then let's give it a dimension in case we need to control it. So let's give it 60. So right, so it doesn't matter if the line is inside or outside of this thing. So I could make it smaller, I could make it like that, I could make it like that, that's fine. I'm going to make it larger for now. Single line, that's all you need, and it's in the center. But what I have done is I've made visible this spline which I used to cut that bottom piece out, and I'm going to use that to drive a series of ribs. So let's go to rib first of all. So I'm going to select that line there, say yes, okay, and you'll see now, oops, why is it not doing it? Did I select the wrong thing? There we go. Okay, so now you can see the ribs pointing to the left and the right. We need to change the direction, and then we need to make the rib 2/3 of the wall thickness, which is 1.6, and then multiply that by 2/3, which is 0.67. So there we go, we've got a thickness. You can see it's pointing in the wrong direction. Just click on this arrow to point in the other direction. Let's give it a taper of 0.5 degrees. Okay, and then what happens when you put the taper in, you get the option here of getting your rib to be 1.7, 1.07 at the sketch plane, which is at this plane, or at the wall interface, which is what we want. So we want it to go from 1.72 upwards, and then if I click on this body, I should be able to get a rib. There we go, I've got a rib, and you can see it is tapering downwards so that that can be demolded. So now the fun bit. I want that rib there. Let's just get that out the way. I want that rib to repeat itself along this curve. So we go to linear pattern, actually not linear pattern. I want to go to curve driven pattern. And I want to select this line. So I'm going to select just the side I want. You can see this curve is a little bit longer than what we need, but I'll show you how to resolve that. And at the moment, you should have equal spacing and then 1 in here or whatever it is. Let's say it's 10. Okay, so that's that point. And then you'll see that once you select your spline, this features and faces gets highlighted, and now you can select the feature. So just make sure you select the right one. You'll see it's doing nothing until I click on this little one here or over here. And there we go. I've got 7, which are going along that line. Now I can click OK and see if that works. It should work. You'll see it's worked, but it's put these ribs all the way along and up there, and that's not what I want. This one would be okay, except in real life you'd want to get that to go perpendicular to those two to assist with mold flow. But this one here would be not really a good idea. So let's go back to that curve pattern, show you what adjustments you can make. There are 2 ways you can do this. You can actually decide that there are certain instances that you want to skip. Click on this button, instances to skip, and you can click on that one, say, and that one. Right, so that'll do it. If I say yes, okay, then it'll do just those 2 there. Another way of doing this is not to click on those patterns. So I'm going to click on those, and then to unclick this equal spacing, decide how many you want. So let's say I want 7 with a spacing of 11, and that'll also work. But while we're here, let's show you how to get this pattern to extend the other direction. So click on this one, this little button which says direction 2, click inside that square, click on the other side of the sketch. If it doesn't show up, just click on reverse direction. And at the moment it's not doing anything because we've only got 1 item in there. So let's make that 7 as well, and let's make sure it's not on equal spacing. Let's make sure that this spacing equals the other one. Okay, and you can see at the moment it's doing something weird. It's repeating these things, and that's because it's trying to go upwards, I think. Make sure that this pattern seed only is selected, and now you'll see that equals everything out. And if you say OK, you should have a pattern, right? And you can see it's put them perpendicular to the face, because when I selected this, I made sure, or at least the standard thing is to say align to seed. That means keep it in the same direction as the seed item. The seed item is the center one. So that's great. What happens though if we want a rib which comes up and out to create like a curved piece? So I'm going to delete both of these and delete the absorbed features, and then we're going to start this again, but this time we don't need that plane. You can delete it. This time we're going to go to the front plane, the right plane, put a sketch on there. So now we're perpendicular to this item. Let's just put a section view in place so that you can see what we're doing. So I've sectioned through where I am at, and you can see there's the section. And so let's put a curve in here. So I'm just going to create this line to mirror this item. I'm going to put something quite simple like a 3-point arc. The problem you're going to face here is that you're going to tend to want to, you're going to get this, your curve snapping to things. I think you can just switch it off here. I can't remember how you do this. I think it's F5 where you just switch them all off. Nope, it's not. Right, I've forgotten how to switch the filters off, but you can switch the filters off. I'm just going to have to sort of deselect everything. You can see if I click on this point, that one's all right. That one there has gone coincident, which is not what I want. So I want these 2 points to be concentric around that line, symmetric at least, not concentric. And I want to give this a curve control of some sort. So let's make it about 45. Right, and let's give that a control dimension. So I'm going to click on the shift button now, and then oops, no. So shift to get that point to this point, and let's make that 8 or so, maybe a little bit more, 9, Right, and then I'm going to simplify this, so I'm just going to get the line to come out something like that. Give that an angle, 5 degrees. Okay, and then just get this to mirror around that line there. And then I'm just going to join them. Right, actually I didn't even need to do any of this, but I don't want to make it too long. There's another way of doing this, is to actually get a surface going to cut this away afterwards. So you could just put a straight line with those lines in there. Just as long as you've got these lines joining, I think that should work. Right, so I'm not sure why this is not... so this dimension has now gone out of whack. Just need to re-establish it. And I think these two might need to be horizontal. Nope. Right, so I'm not sure why this is not going fully defined. I think it might be that. Nope, those are already symmetric. There we go. Okay, so almost. Okay, I know what's going on. We need a dimension from there to there. There we go, fully defined. Okay. So that could have been simpler. It could have just been like a box shape, a straight line all the way across. So let's just get this going. And so now I want to make a rib. So let's select that sketch, say rib. Okay, now you can see it's pointing up or down. I need to just click on that to go downwards. And then the same thing here, I can just say, let's give this a taper of 0.5. At the moment, oh, sorry, that's pointing in the wrong direction. That must go down. There we go. And that seems to be right, except it must be at wall interface, that dimension. So yes, there we go. There we've got a rib. And so the same thing can happen now with this rib, in that you can pattern it. So we can go a sketch-driven pattern. We want that one there. We want this face, and we want curve-driven pattern. Sorry about that. Curve-driven pattern. All right, so that curve there. We want that face there, and 7, let's just go in the opposite direction. So you see there are too many of them, so let's just get this to go like that. 11. In fact, I want this to be a little bit tighter than that. Give us a few more. 9, let's see if that'll do it. That's about right. And let's go in the opposite direction. So direction 2 will be, make sure this goes blue. Will be in that direction, and will also be, what did I say, 9, with the 9mm spacing. Okay, and then we might need to, yes, get that, and then make sure you have pattern seed only. And bingo, we've got now sort of a curved handle. And what I would then do is actually I would get this line to give us this another spline all the way through. Or if I wanted to do some sculpting, I'd actually have squared these off, created another surface which cuts them off nicely, and use that to cut away. But that's good enough. If you can just do this, something like this, like a repeated pattern of ribs in one direction. Don't worry about ribs in the rest. The last bit is going to be fairly simple. It's just to put a hole in one of these and to pattern it. But I think you can figure that out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.